Well, good morning. The one thing my mother and father never said is I didn't have a loud enough voice. So it's really a great honor to be here with you today on behalf of the governor. As you know, many of us were still in session, still trying to do good things in Albany, and that took the governor away. But for Ben and for his constant reminder about how much we need to stay engaged, I really wanted to say it's a personal and professional pleasure to be here with you today. It's also amazing to be here at the Westchester Medical Center. It seems appropriate to be here where so much of what we're talking about, unfortunately, finds too often an end. And I think the story, again, we heard earlier, really brings to that point home. I want to say it's important for all of you to be here. I heard the reference to Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I've been in this industry, as you can tell, a long time, and I remember nobody thought that was really going to take hold and make a difference. And Students Against Drunk Driving, and that constant reminder about the social implications and the personal implications really cannot be understated. You are beginning and working hard to create what somebody will look back on in 15 years and say, what if these folks had not been so active? I really want to thank Marissa and Ben for all of your amazing work, as well as Jennifer Smith, who I've just had the privilege of meeting this morning. Ben and Jennifer are two of millions of people. We also have Regina Stewart and Patricia Hardy from upstate New York, my home, who are also taking personal tragedy and helping reverse it by talking about the importance of understanding what this means to all of us. I know there are many others here today. Some are watching on the internet, but most importantly, you cared enough to take your personal time to be here and be part of the discussion today. This summit and summits like this are very important. This needs to be grassroots. We can do things at the legislative level, but the best ideas, bar none, that the governor embraces and sprints with, are those that come from those of you at the grassroots level. So please, as you continue your conversations today, unfortunately, I can't stay for the whole event, but I am going to ask for a debrief with all the folks that have been kind enough to invite us here today. Just to talk for a moment, every one of us knows that people more and more understand that distracted driving is a big issue. But also, everybody says, well, once in a while I do it. So there is that mismatch between the reality of knowing how dangerous it is and everybody's personal skill or their personal behaviors and what they choose to do. You can see it when you walk down the street. I think we're going to have to do a distracted driving on the sidewalk pretty soon, but that's not nearly as dangerous as distracted driving in the car. In fact, I know that the National Traffic Safety Board estimates over 3,300 people were killed in 2012, with 421,000 injured. If this was a flu epidemic, if we thought we were going to have the next strain of avian flu or something, we would mobilize every single facet of this country's operation, from health care to personal moves, from everything from getting a shot to wearing a mask. We'd avoid certain transportation modes. We would do everything we could in our power. We'd mobilize a whole continuing operations plan on how you don't expose yourself to this threat. And those numbers would be far less than the numbers we faced just a year ago. So I challenge us here in a medical facility to think of this as the largest epidemic we have to deal with today. We know that you can help us find solutions, and it's many-fold. Shortly, you're going to hear from Chuck DeWeese, who works with us as the Assistant Commissioner for the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee. That's where our focus is on education, that part of helping to remove this huge challenge ahead of us. We have Lieutenant Fouché from the State Police, who's going to talk about our new enforcement and many of the things we're doing to really take New York to the next level. And you also hear from many others about our legislation and the things that we've tried to do to help put the enforcement component. In closing, I really want to thank Ben and Jennifer for the invitation to be here. Governor Cuomo will be with you, or more importantly, calling on you on a regular basis for your insights and your supports as we try to take New York State to continue its leadership role in moving forward this very aggressive program. I have to tell you, a year ago when the governor decided to do the latest round of legislation about increasing penalties and with a real focus on the younger driver, we were all sitting in a room and he said, "I'd like all of you just to tell me how you think people around the state will feel." And very rarely is there unanimous vote when we're having these kinds of conversations. To the person, there was no doubt that his aggressive position, albeit one that we thought we'd get a lot more pushback than we did, everyone in the room, and there were probably 30 of us, said, "We have to do it. This isn't a choice, sir." And then he took his idea and he made it a law in the quickest turnaround I think I've ever seen. The governor is committed, whether it's for his daughters, whether it's for his neighbors, or whether it's for any of the children or adults in this great state, to help be sure we're part of what you're going to do here today. If you look at the number of folks that we've seen injured, personally injured, injured for their life, or worse, lost forever from us, we realize that we have a long way to go, even though we've made great progress. My challenge to you is, in addition to reporting back, next year I challenge the Westchester facility here to come up with a bigger room, because I want you to each come back with 5 more people who understand how important this is. Let's grow the number. Let's understand that the more voices we have out there, the more likely we are to make this behavior totally unacceptable. And you are creating that network. It's just amazing to be here with you today. I'm sorry it has to be on this subject, but I am so honored to be with a group of people that care so much, that you will help us make a difference. And Governor Cuomo is there every step of the way. You tell us what else we can do to help make this a thing of the past, and we'll be there for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen, and I want to thank the entire governor's office for leading the way on this issue and being so proactive in innovating those solutions to this epidemic. I would like now to introduce a brief video from the United States Secretary of Transportation, Anthony Fox. He was unable to make our new date here in May, even though it's much better weather, but his schedule wouldn't allow him, but he did want to send along a brief message for everyone.
Hi everyone. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you today, but I'm glad that I have a chance to thank all of you for the work you've done to end distracted driving. It's hard to overstate how much progress we've made in the last few years. At DOT, our efforts really began with my predecessor, Ray LaHood. When he took office, few knew what distracted driving was, let alone that it was dangerous. Only 18 states had anti-texting laws. You could drive from the Canadian border to the Mexican border, texting the whole way, and still not have broken the law. Today, I think we're glad that things have changed. 43 states now ban texting while driving, and 12 states ban all handheld cell phone use. Awareness is up, distracted driving deaths are down, albeit slightly. At DOT, we just wrapped up our first nationwide distraction campaign that was on par with past campaigns against drunk driving. And we've conducted a few really promising pilot programs on how to stop distracted driving with a combination of strict enforcement and raising public awareness. But for all the progress we've made, we still need to make more. We're still losing more than 3,000 lives per year in distracted affected crashes. And hundreds of thousands of people are still being injured. And that's why summits like this are so important. And it's also why it's so important you're here. You're learning about the latest research, finding out best practices, discovering new ways to get involved. You're here today because you care, and you're willing to put in the work. So I want to thank you for that and encourage you to keep up the great work.
Now, I would like to introduce Tom Louisu, the Region Administrator for the U.S. Department of Transportation.